What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we're jumping into Dark Knights of Steel, Tales from the Three Kingdoms. Switching up the pace a little bit, getting us away from Dark Crisis. This has probably been one of the best things to come out of DC Comics, at least this year. And while this isn't issue number 8 like we were hoping for, we do get 3 different stories showing us all of our heroes. Some familiar faces, but in a much different light. And in this medieval world, we get to learn exactly who these heroes are, what they represent, and what kind of rulers that they will be. Now, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, like the video. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so we are picking up at the El Kingdom, the harbor town of Gotham. We have 3 orphan boys who are currently staring up at the stars. Jimmy Olsen, Oswald Cobblepot, and Harvey Dent. All 3 of them orphans, all of them living in this orphanage. That is, until Jimmy Olsen is adopted by Perry White, with him being adopted and bringing their brand new son home, gifting him with a telescope because he loved looking at the stars. One night, while out looking at the stars, he believes he sees something. That something is none other than Prince L. As they make their introductions, he shows him the telescope, letting him know exactly what it does. This is the first time Kal-El actually uses one. Staring up to the stars, he sees everything. Jimmy Olsen, having this infatuation with the stars, he can't help but start naming all the different constellations. But this night, it was a couple nights ago. Right now, Perry White is talking to the elves, asking them to look for the boy. He is not the only missing child. There have been a string of kidnappings, many of them rumored to be taken from the Gotham orphanage. Kal-El, listening in to this entire conversation, hearing that his new friend had been kidnapped, he jumps into action. Starting at the orphanage, he begins to look around, and it doesn't take long for Zala-El and Bruce Wayne to show up, with Kal-El asking what they are doing. Our princes and princess, they discuss what might have done this. Of course, Bruce believing that it had to be a dragon. They see some children inside the window and think maybe we should ask them. If anybody saw what happened, it would be them. Going inside, this is where they are introduced to Oswald as well as Harvey. Harvey is in a very terrified state, unable to really talk about what happened. We see Bruce Wayne toss Harvey a coin, saying that he doesn't have to talk, he doesn't have to choose. Let the coin do it. If you would like to talk to us, flip the coin, let the coin decide. In doing this, it gave him some kind of comfort. And he goes on to describe whatever this thing was. It wasn't a dragon, it was something much, much worse. Letting them know exactly what direction this winged beast flew off to, knowing that this is where they need to be. Unable to see through the mountain because of all the lead, they can hear the children. This is where Zala hightails it right down into that cave, going as fast as she possibly can. This is when they run into Man-Bat. Seeing this giant creature, all 3 of them jump into action, laying a beatdown on him, as both of our Kryptonians give him a great punch to the face. We see him fall down to the ground, but the children, they rush over to protect him, and Jimmy lets it be known that he is not a monster, letting them know that he is also an orphan child, that he is only 12 years old. He wasn't trying to hurt them, he was trying to get them all together, to take them away from the orphanage. This is when it is divulged that somebody is experimenting on the children at the orphanage. We learn that this somebody is none other than Elizabeth Arkham, as General Waller smashes down the door, shooting her with an arrow in the shoulder and taking her into custody. These children have been saved, but our princes and princess are in some big trouble. As for Elizabeth Arkham, Waller is letting her know that there is another option outside of execution or the dungeons, that she will keep on doing what she is doing in service of the kingdom, that Elizabeth Arkham now works for Waller. This is what jumps us into our second story. 5 years have passed and we are at the Kingdom of El. We have the royal advisor Harley Quinn. We have Kal-El and Bruce Wayne. Harley Quinn and Kal-El, they are preparing to go out into the city because Kal doesn't truly understand the people that are underneath him. Everyone sees his family as gods, and gods are rarely ever loved. They are feared. He is going out there so that he may understand not only his city, but also himself, how he is perceived to the world. And so with the three of them putting on some disguises, or at least Kal-El and Bruce Wayne, because Harley Quinn did not bring one, on All Hallows Eve, they make their way into the city to see the common folk, a chance to see the other side of the kingdom. And while the others try to enjoy their time, Bruce Wayne cannot help but notice lawlessness is on the rise. They should be doing more to combat this. Trying to let him know he is being nothing more than a stick in the mud, Harley Quinn runs into a puppy. This puppy looking very identical to the one that Nightwing has in his current ongoing series. The puppy known as Haley, playing with a dog. This is where someone bumps into her and they steal her necklace right off of her neck. This is when our guys jump into action. The princes examining the situation, Kal-El recognizing that there is more than one of them. We hear the call go out, telling all the Robins to fly. As everyone goes off in separate directions, each of them chasing down a Robin. Making their way through the alleys, we have Prince Wayne that is hunting down the leader of all the Robins. That, of course, is Richard Grayson. As they are doing all of this, we see a carriage that is almost about to run over a little girl. With Richard jumping into action, he grabs her and he saves this child's life. But in doing so, it got himself caught. Richard is okay with this because he believes that the others got away. Unfortunately, they were going against a Kryptonian. There was no escape for them. Now, Bruce Wayne, he has a very cynical way of looking at this. That today they are robbers, tomorrow they're gonna be murderers. The Robins trying to defend themselves, saying that they would never do anything of that nature. In fact, they only steal from the rich. Very Robin Hood of them. And they do all of this, call themselves the Robins, because they are building themselves a nest. Not every orphan in this city actually has a palace to go back to. This is when Bruce Wayne cracks a smile, saying that that child had been saved because of him. This is when he offers him a job. This is where the partnership between Batman and Robins began. Now we're gonna jump some years back into the past. We are at Hob Forest, and we have a ton of knights that are escorting Bruce Wayne through the forest, taking him back home to the castle. But while they are out here in this forest, they are ambushed. This is where we see Bane completely knighted out. He is referred to as the King's Bane, coming in with his mighty sword. He is slicing right through all of these knights. Not a single one of them stand a chance. With Bruce Wayne being the only survivor, he lifts up his sword, but King's Bane is not here to kill him. He is here to pledge loyalty. And that King's Bane, he sees Bruce Wayne as the rightful king, not the elves, letting him know that he is not a bastard, that he does not live in the shadows of the elves, that he has more right to the throne than any of them, letting him know that when he is ready to take down the elves, that he can find him at the Inn of the White Stag, that if he comes, he will show him how to kill a monster. Taking us over to the White Stag, the King's Bane sits and waits. It doesn't take long for young Bruce to come walking through the door. Ready to get his training, they waste no time getting it underway. King's Bane letting him know that someone with powers To take them down is going to take dedication and training that he can't match strength with strength. He has to be the one to strike first, to live in the shadows by taking them by surprise when they least expect it. Ambush is going to be your greatest and almost only opportunity to fight against them. We learn a little bit about King's Bane throughout this training. A man that used to be on the palace guard, guarding the Waynes, was one of the proudest moments in his entire life. But that is when the Green Man had attacked. He was there that day when Bruce Wayne's parents had died, unable to protect them. He swears that he will see a Wayne back on the throne. The mask, this comes from Dr. Crane. He had broken his back and Crane fixed him, fashioning this mask and using what is known as magic. This is what keeps him running, keeps him standing up, taking us over to the next day. The plan was simple. Young Bruce gets them inside, brings the King's Bane to the elves. And that is when they decide to use the one thing that can kill the elves. That is magic. Ripping off his cloak and pulling out a magic mace. A magic chain mace. He has come to end the line of the elves. That is, until Bruce Wayne cuts his lines. The fluid that was going into his brain, keeping him standing, doing exactly as he was trained to do. Strike first from the shadows when they least expect it. Bane pleading, begging his prince to find out why. Why did you do this? Standing in front of the elves, Bruce Wayne lets him know that he has captured the King's Bane, calling himself a Wayne loyalist. He wanted to kill them and put Bruce Wayne on the throne, refusing to lose more people he loves to magic. He will not let magic hurt anyone ever again, bending the knee, pledging loyalty to the throne to protect the elves from magic from this day forward. Bane saying that he taught him everything he knows. And that is exactly what Bruce wanted. He is going to use all of these skills to fight against monsters like the Green Man, using him as an example for anybody that would try to use magic against this family. They throw him into the pit. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. These 3 stories were absolutely a ton of fun, but it's looking more and more like it may not be necessarily kryptonite that is the weapon of choice. We're seeing that, at least here in this world, they are very, very vulnerable to magic. King's Bane believing that it can even kill them with a single chain mace. So while Superman in the main universe, he might be vulnerable to magic, it seems that here in this medieval time, magic is almost fatal when it comes to talking about Kryptonians. Moreover, we're learning how warm-hearted and kind-loving these people are. The princes and the princess. That there is no possible way they are responsible for everything that they have been accused of. That there is no way that was Kal-El taking down Bruce Wayne, stabbing him in the chest with kryptonite. They have been very good and very secretive about who is responsible behind all of this. But we are beginning to learn more, and as the next issue comes out, I think we're gonna get the big reveal on who the Green Man truly is, who is responsible for stabbing Bruce Wayne, and who is the one that killed Jefferson, King Jefferson's child. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get caught up on everything going on with Dark Knights of Steel, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, please consider joining our channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers from $2 to $40. All kinds of perks, from loyalty badges to playing video games with me to being a guest on the channel. If you join the membership, it will help us out tremendously. And if you can't find the join me button, there is a link in the description so that you can join the membership of this channel. If you are not able to do that, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel, liking this video, hitting that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.